Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOCast. District is hot and heavy, so go ahead and buy your Texas Hoops Scoreboard app on the App Store, on Google Play. You're going to find accurate district game scores from across the entire state, up-to-date district records, district standings, times, locations for each game, and then playoff brackets.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and get it. We're staying on top of that. So we'll start it off with a big congratulations. Texas Tech commit Drew Steffe. Saw that news recently. We have him, I believe, number 9 in our 2023 latest rankings that just came out. So Texas Tech should be excited about that. What do y'all have to add?
I think that it's just ironic because I've only done 2 commitment videos in my time as doing video stuff, and my first one ever, for this Drew, and I just edited the film that I've already put together on him. But I also did Kevin McCullough's commitment to Texas Tech a couple years back, and we did like a whole MTV Crib style thing. So it's just ironic that it's 2 Texas Tech kids. Just interesting. But yeah, congrats to Drew in a loaded 2023 class, one of the first, if not the first off the board.
Yeah.
He
is, and I think that he fits what Mark Adams wants over there at Texas Tech, skilled, can pass it, can see over the defenders, and it's still a year and a half away from him getting on campus, but I think when you look at Twitter and social media,
that fan
Texas
base
Tech,
is buzzing.
Yes, because he can put the ball in the basket,
Yes,
and
sir.
every team needs that.
Yep.
All right, I don't know if y'all have heard. The McDonald's All-Americans were released. Texas had 5. It's the 3rd time since 2000 that has happened. Big deal. I'm going to just say the names real quick. Anthony Black, Cason Wallace, Keyonte George, Jordan Walsh, Arterio Morris. We're going to jump into a little cool segment. If you haven't seen those and you're watching this show, I would be very shocked. But we kind of wanted to say their names and just what would come to mind after you leave a game watching them, just to describe them a little bit and to pay a little respect to that, because that's a huge deal. Congratulations. So I'm going to kick it off. Anthony Black.
6'7". I mean, a transitional nightmare, a freak going downhill. Just the fact that you can see all the point guard qualities he has in that frame and that size stands out for me.
Cason Wallace, winner, makes winning plays. He doesn't have to score 20 to impact. He is simply a winner, and I think that translates at every level, and he's going to get the job done.
Yeah, I'll go Keyonte George. You're going to walk away and say, wow, gifted scorer. That guy can put it in the basket from everywhere on the court in tons of different ways. Doesn't really matter against who. It's kind of one of those great offense beats great defense.
Arterio Morris, one of those kids that you'll go back and tell your friends, this kid did this move that I've never seen in my life. He's always I've never seen anybody do that type of player, so he really leaves a big impression on anybody that watches him.
Jordan Walsh, I think that one of the first things that comes to mind with him is, 1, versatility, and 2, he was willing to go out there and make himself into a legit wing over the years, and finesse, explosiveness, he became really fun to watch over the last year.
And clearly these 5 guys are in kind of their league of their own if you're getting selected for this game. So congratulations to them if you get to catch them at the next level. Go ahead.
And one other point, this is the 3rd time 5 have been selected from the state of Texas
since 2000. Since
2000. 3 times over the past 22, 23 years, 4 have made it onto the McDonald's All-American stage. That's, what did we put, 58 over 23 years.
Dang.
All right, now we're going to move into a segment called Would You Rather. And this question really stems from, we were looking at our app, at the district schedules, and we're seeing teams that are absolutely dominating their district.
Right.
And then we see these districts that are completely log jammed, and it's a fight for the top. And the question kind of came up, hey, would you rather cruise through a district and, roll in at 13-1, 14-0, or would you rather be battle tested, find a way into the playoffs at a 10-4, 9-5? Does that prepare you? I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on which would you prefer.
I mean, obviously, I think right away you prefer to win every game in district, if possible,
Okay.
you know. But we do see some of these teams that maybe aren't being challenged as much in district, and they're kind of maybe going through the motions. And I guess what I will ask y'all is if you're kind of like, how do you just turn on a switch? Some teams are able to, but when playoffs hit, you don't know that open around matchup. It might be a harder game than you had in district.
I want you to answer last since you've been the coach on that sideline.
Right.
And so my thoughts to this would be, I want to be challenged a little bit because I want to be prepared.
Right.
That's what also the pre-district season is for. But you want some games that you have to polish yourself up the next couple times you get to practice to get to your next step. When you look at fighting through a district, you also have to look at a little bit ahead and say, okay, what does District 26 looks like? What is District 25 and 26? Because those are going to be paired together. And so you might feel like if I finish second, if I'm in a dogfight and I finish first, second, or third, I could have a little bit easier time after being challenged in that first round of the playoffs, in the second round, and then you're prepared.
Yeah.
Everything is about being prepared.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, typically wherever you land in your playoff spots, you're going to have to win to move on.
Right.
And you're going to have to go through these roads to seal the deal. And I was just always a matter of, I just want to be right. Obviously you have to make the playoffs and you have to win district games, but I want to be peaking in March, in February, March, and that's way easier said than done. But I didn't really care if we were 1, 2, 3, or 4. I just wanted to be right.
Yeah.
And that means adding new stuff that people haven't seen, injuries, managing that, making sure practices aren't monotonous and we're finding ways to keep it fresh. But I always said, hey man, if you just give us a shot, I just want a chance.
But also, as a coach, you want to be challenged too.
Absolutely.
You're saying that so you don't really want. And I don't know if wins and losses matter.
Absolutely.
So that win column holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Going 12-0 compared to 9-3.
Yeah.
But you want to be challenged as a coach and be prepared every single game and put strategies in.
And I think almost the challenge of keeping practice not monotonous and keeping the fun and excitement that carries on through the year is almost the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to – if your blood's not pumping going into the playoff game, I don't care who it's against.
Right.
Like, you don't have a pulse in general. So, like, that's not hard to get the dudes ready to go for it. I would say that the hard part is drudging through and finding ways to obviously stay healthy and win, but also peaking February, March.
And I also think that when you're so locked in your program, you're not looking at, our district's easy. I don't think coaches very often take games for granted, and they probably see the opponent, and they're like, well, if the opponent does this, this, and this, they can beat us at any time. So I don't think they're looking at that. The one thing I will say for some of these teams that are kind of cruising, how do you continue to get your role players? That's one thing. Let's talk about Richardson. They have the game against Lake Highlands, but I think the rest of those district games, they should be favored pretty well. How do you get those role players beside Cason and Ryland and Timmy Jordan? How do you make sure that they're playing at the highest level with the most confidence? And I think that's something, for example, they probably are focusing on some of these district games where they're able to win pretty handily.
And along those lines, we talked to a staff member at Lake Highlands, and they were disappointed the game after they that they lost to at home to Richardson. They come back on that Friday. They won by 20, but they were disappointed in the effort. They were disappointed in, maybe, I don't want to say disappointed in the effort, but it didn't go as smoothly as getting up for a high-level game. Yeah.
Weren't as sharp, so. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, how do you build the excitement coming off playing that insane game and then rolling to the next one of a team that maybe you've already seen, and finding ways to keep it excited. Get different guys playing different roles, getting them ready. That I think that in and of itself is such a challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that was good.
Yeah, for sure.
2023 rankings came out. If you haven't seen those, go to our website, greatamericanshootout.com. And Timmons, can you put a link in the show notes of the rankings?
I got you.
Yeah, so just go down below and check out our rankings if you haven't seen them yet. We're going to talk about top 10 guys, or a few guys from the top 10, few guys from the top 100, and then a few guys from the top 260. So we're just going to kind of pick and choose some guys that stood out to us, some guys we really like, and that we've enjoyed watching. Blue, I'm gonna kick it to you because
Well, I think first off, you can't not talk about Ronald Holland, McDonald's All-American in 2023. I think that's a safe bet. If you're in Vegas, you're not going to win any money on that.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty safe. And it's just the way he does things. You know, we always talk. We're always talking about the past, about the future, about where we are in the present with players. And one name that comes to mind when you look at Ronald Holland is a Dennis Rodman type. And yeah, we're using a little NBA comparison, but the energy he brings, the length, the ability to get from one spot on the basketball court on the offensive or defensive end and get across court to go get a rebound, the putbacks, I mean, no, let's face it, he's probably a way better scorer, but he is a complete player, and you're looking for. He's the type of guy that you already probably have the storyline written before you even hit the court that night that you're going to watch Duncanville. But you want to see like that little poetry and motion that he does and the certain spots he gets to, and he has been number one from the beginning, and at every level he has proved it, USA basketball level. At the being at Duncanville, being on the EYBL, it is, very special player.
And he'll take that number one ranking, like you said, into the EYBL, where a lot of people are seeing Drive Nation as a potential favorite to win it all and represent Texas on the biggest stage. And he'll have a lot to do with who comes out of that EYBL and wins it. He's so versatile, especially at the biggest levels. And I'm excited to see him play this summer as well.
I'll jump in with my guy here. Chris Johnson. Talked about him a lot.
That is your guy.
That is my guy. Chris, I'm fighting for you always. I think you're a special player with the ball in your hands, man. My argument for Chris Johnson even being higher, sometimes is I want to put the ball in his hands because he has the ability to literally make everyone around him better. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to score. He can be an incredible defender. Really, really smooth in transition. I just love all the aspects of his game at his size. Really good in the pick and roll. Really patient. He just has the skill and the IQ that are very rare. Like such a complete package with the ball in his hands, and he makes people better constantly with the ball in his hands. So, big fan of him. Those top 4 or 5 guys are just pretty incredible in and of itself. So we're splitting hairs at this point, but as for guys I love watching, there's not many I like watching more than Chris Johnson.
No, absolutely. For me, R.J. Jones at John Paul, one of the prettiest games probably in the state, if not in the country. The one thing that stands out about R.J. Jones, and he moved up quite a bit in this ranking, was his consistency as a scorer,
as a leader.
At John Paul, able to play with other high-level players, with Gabe Warren and Liam McNeely over there. I think just his consistency at scoring at all 3 levels is one of the reasons why we have ranked him so high at this point. And I still think there's room for him to grow, which is what you always want as a prospect at this stage. He's turning into a true point guard that can really score it, and I think he's continuing to find ways to understand time and situation and things like that, and he's just getting better and better. But the biggest thing, like I'll continue to say, is his consistency of scoring the ball in big games. I mean, they have to be the favorite for TAP's 6A championship this year with him running the show.
All right, moving on to top 100. Blue, why don't you go?
Another Fort Bend Elkins. Sorry to throw this down people's throat, but you know what?
We did this blindly, and we just came together and just happened to be it.
Chris Barnett, really good. Too low. Yeah, sometimes we publish it. We go over it and over and over it, and then we publish it, and then you go, oh, that one sticks out.
Yeah.
Where was that? Where I think that you can argue for, I don't know how many spots higher, but you're talking about a guy that is maybe the poster child of just being a versatile interior, undersized 4-man, beefed up, wants to score around the basket, take his game outside, does things to win. He's got that body to compete against many different style of basketball players, and I think that he cannot go unnoticed of how how he can score, how he can defend, how he gets up and down the court. Just a lot of just versatility to his skilled overall game.
And I'll come in with another top 100 kid who I looked at and I'm like, yeah, he probably could have been higher. And it was a guy that we were in our San Antonio GASO, Lyndon Cook, our awesome social media director during the summer. He says to me, Mass, you got to go see Kieren Elliott. He is a dog. And I go see him and playing for Lubbock Nitro. And this guy's just dominating on the boards. He's very versatile. He can step out and hit the three. And then he's just a truck inside. I can't wait to see more. I'm seeing all this stuff on Twitter. I loved his game. And now on Twitter, I'm just at 40 and 17, 30 and 10,
God.
25 and 10. And I'm just like, man, clearly he's growing, getting better. And that's a guy that is going to be one of the first guys I go and see at whatever event
Oh, for sure.
he's at. And Kieran's just those big guys who are really mobile and can shoot. That's a recipe for a really good player.
Absolutely. For me, we just saw him a couple days ago, Evan Phelps of Duncanville. I think with the CJ Ford situation and his injury, I think Evan Phelps has had the opportunity to step up and play a huge role, carve himself out a huge role in this offense. I think he's their sixth man, one of the first ones off the bench, but they just played DeSoto, and he had 3 threes in the first quarter off the bench. Instant offense, can run the show, strong built frame. I think the confidence that he's having. I mean, if you're a rotation player in Duncanville's offense, like you're a dude for sure.
Yes.
And I think I talked to PV before at the Waterburg, and he's like, yeah, they're figuring it out quick, their guards. And Evan Phelps is really standing out and showcasing the fact that he belongs on the court, and he's going to be a major factor for them as they make a deep playoff run this year.
Now to our top 260. I'll kick us off here. Blake Muschalek. I think that's how you say his name. We're just going to roll with it. I saw Trinity Christian Academy Addison on Tuesday night, and this is the second time I've seen him go for 30-plus. I saw him a little bit in the summer at on the state. But, again, in this setting where he's kind of the dude, as a sophomore, he was being fed the ball, and now he is being the playmaker, making the passes, finding teammates, and then scoring 32 on top of that. So seeing that development as a playmaker has been extremely, extremely impressive.
Timmons?
For me, pivoting here, Carter Ruck at Southlake Carroll. You know, admittedly, so I haven't seen him live in person, but it's one of those names that continues to come across the Twitter atmosphere that I'm keeping my eye on. You know, that backcourt with him and Ben Estes is, you know, they're continuing to put together big-time performances. I loved Carter this past summer. With that 3D Empire squad. You know, his confidence, man. He just kind of has that moxie, that confidence, knows how to score it in a variety of different ways. And for him, I just want to showcase the fact that he's doing what he needs to do in this high school season. And I'm looking forward to have a great summer that we'll see him plenty.
I'll co-sign this.
Yeah.
I saw him. He's really good.
Attaboy.
Finally, Matthew Gonzalez from San Antonio Marshall. They're sitting about fifth or sixth in their district. But for them to get to that fourth spot, he's going to have to continue to do what he's doing. 22 points a game in district, 22 points in district, shooting 50, 40, 90, 50 from field goals. This is all around.
That's the
around
right numbers,
40 from
though. Yep.
three-pointers, and then 90% from the free throw line, approximately. You know, I'm talking to Bobby Jacklich, his high school coach, and you know, Matthew's a guy that's just going to kind of maybe just creep up the rankings here from now on as we see him more.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Join our free community. Okay, social media at Texas Hoops GASO. I'm GASO Mass, GASO Blue. I film hoopers. Follow us, subscribe to our channel, comment below. We love your questions and comments.
Awesome. See you next time.
See you next time.